Hello, hello, my magical friends. Welcome to another podcast episode. This is Annika with Witchful Ways. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to me babble once again. So today I want to talk a little bit about smoke cleansing. And the reason this one came about is because I was browsing through Facebook and its groups, because I like to go into some of the newbie groups, or what they call newbie groups that are of witches just starting out on their path, or ones that are looking to find their path, or whatever it may be. And they ask, and I like going in these groups because they ask very basic questions. Okay. I mean, they ask very difficult questions as well, but I like that there's basic questions because it allows the ability to sprinkle through on hopefully some insight, some guidance, some wisdom that I may have picked up along my 35 years, right, of practicing witchcraft, and intuitive development, and to just kind of help out those people to go, you know what, it doesn't have to, you read this, they read something and then they go, okay, this is what it's got to be. So now how do I find this, kind of thing. So that's why I'm touching on this. And this one question said, how often do y'all sage your home and yourself? And of course, there were a multitude, at this point, 25 answers that I'm sitting here looking at that say, oh, I do it every morning. It's part of my daily ritual. That's how I bless my day. And I do it once a week, or I do it before every shift because I work from home and I'm customer service and people are always yelling, or, whatever it is. Some people do it once a month. Others were saying seasonally, whatever it is. I always say, and I'm going to say it again, I always say, you do you, witchy poo. Whatever you feel you need to do is what is perfectly perfect for you, right? But let me step on this for just a minute. So first off, let's define the difference between smudging and smoke cleansing for witchcraft, which is called reekening. Smudging is a Native American ceremonial practice. Okay, that's where it stemmed from. Now, I know that smudging has become a term in neo-paganism that has just kind of encompassed what does smoke cleansing mean, right? Everybody originally thinks of smudging, but for witchcraft, it's actually called reekening. You smudge or you reeken. You are therefore smudging or you are reekening. Okay, so when we're talking about reekening and smoke cleansing in witchcraft as compared to smudging, again, Native American ceremonial, there are specific ingredients that are used. There are specific prayers that are continuously used during a smudging. There is specific traditions, depending on the clan, of how you dispose of the actual act of smudging, but also how you dispose of the ashes after smudging. There's all these different things because it comes from a ceremonial aspect of a religion or a belief system, right? Native American belief system. So smudging is actually something that is done pre-ceremonial, but it is a ritual and a ceremony in and of itself. Now, when we talk about smoke cleansing or reekening in witchcraft, this can be ceremonial as well, and it can be very ritualistic as well. This is something that the cleansing of the smoke is magical because we've put the intent and desire and the outcome with that. Right? So that's what makes it happen, right? It's our belief that it happens is what makes it happen. Okay, so the smoke cleansing. Because really, if you think about it, if you're putting smoke into your room, you're not cleansing the air by any means. Even if you light an incense, right? And watch the smoke, maybe you're smoke scrying or whatever. And then afterwards, you can look in that room, in that space, and you can still see that hanging in there 20 minutes later. But the aspect of reekening is that smoke clears out negative energy, vibes, maybe unwanted, wandering spirits, whatever it is. So here's the lowdown on reekening when it comes to witchcraft. First off, when you're doing it, make sure that you have windows open, regardless of how you do it, how you decide to do it. Some people go, I got to go from the top to the bottom of the house, from the, north all the way around in a sunrise, or whatever it is. However you decide to do it, whatever it is, make sure that you crack your windows when you're doing it. Okay. Make especially sure that if you have animals, that you have those windows cracked for two reasons. Crack those windows for two reasons. Let's say first is because your own, personal lung health, the lung health of any animals that are in your home, especially birds. And second, if you reekon in a room to get out the bad vibes or a ghost or a spirit or whatever it is that you're trying to remove from the space, and they don't have a way out, they're just running around that space going, well, I got no place to go. I'm just going to bounce off the walls, right? And they stay there. Okay. So you have to have a way that you're getting it out of your home, and that's why you crack the windows. So let's go past that just a minute and go, okay, how often do you do it? That's what this question came down to. How often do you smoke cleanse? How often should you be doing it? And some people go every day, and I'm going to tell you what I do. I do a smoke cleansing in my home twice a year. I do it in the spring and I do it in the fall. So around Beltane and around Samhain. And I'm talking about a whole house cleanse, okay? If there's been intentional house cleanse, if there's been maybe a bad fight or something that's happened in an argument or whatever, that's happened in a specific room of my home, I may light an incense in that room specific with the intention that that smoke, that incense is cleaning that space. Gotta say that I do that as well. But when it comes to a whole home thing and how often I do that twice a year and only on an as needed basis, which isn't very often for the as needed. And here's jumping into why. Because if you take your reekening and you do it every day, you do it every week, you're doing one of two things. You're wiping out all the good vibes with the bad. And you're like, what? How can that even be? So compare it to keeping an area or your space completely wiped down with antibacterial cleanser all the time. Right? That's the only thing you use, is you completely kill all of the bacteria in your home every day. So yeah, you're taking out the bad bacteria so you won't get sick, but you're also taking out the good stuff, the stuff that actually helps you. That's not going to make you sick, but helps your immune system to bolster against all the other stuff that you're going to come into contact with, right? So if you never allow yourself to be in contact with any kind of bad bugs, right? Bacteria in this case we're talking about, you're never going to be able to build up a resistance to anything. So whether the bacteria comes in as good, considered good, or bad, you're going to be affected by it. Okay? As compared to if we leave those, we clean down as the surfaces that we know might make us sick, countertops, knives, dishes, that kind of thing. But we also allow ourselves to be open to the stuff that may be, around, and it helps us build ourselves up. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me say it a different way. Let's talk about a person that takes antibiotics. Okay, that's good for you, right? Antibiotics, like reekening, is good. It's good for the space. How can it be bad? Well, when you take antibiotics, you're wiping out all the good gut bacteria along with the bad bug. So you're taking out the good with the bad. Right? So if we think about it that way, when we're doing our reekening every day, we are removing the bad vibes, if you want to call it, along with the good stuff. So now we're just left with a void of a void. Okay. So 2, the other thing that may be happening, if you feel that you need to be smoke cleansing daily or before every shift or, whatever that is, and that is that you're not filling the void that you're leaving with the good stuff. So when we smoke cleanse, we're removing the bad vibes, right? That's what we're intending to do. We're removing the bad vibes. And when you do it, like I said, I do mine twice a year, but when you do it, your intention is for those bad vibes to go. Your intention is not for the good stuff to go. But if you're doing it every day, it can only wear away at it. And eventually it's going to start going as well. Okay. So you're going through and you're cleaning out the bad vibes on your twice monthly or whatever. Now, when you remove something, you have left a void of energy. You have left a void of the energy that you've removed. So all the negative energy that you've removed have left voids in the space in your home. Kind of like I always say, if you're at the beach and you dig a hole in the sand, you've removed the bad vibes from that hole, right? But that hole remains there now. And if you don't purposely fill it with something, whatever is just going to slide back and fill that hole back up, whether it's surrounding sand or water, whatever comes in, right? It's eventually going to fill itself back in with whatever's in the surrounding area and whatever can slide back into it. So you have to make sure you purposely stuff those voids with positive energy. How do you do that? We've gone through that previously before as well, but you do that by whatever means you use to bring positive energy into your home, whether that's by sound, whether that's by dancing, whether that's by bell ringing, whatever it is that you choose to do, whether that's just by sitting in each room with intention. But you have to refill that void that you have left from your smoke cleansing. Because if you don't do that, like I said, everything slides back in. And then the next day or a week later, you're going, it feels like crap in here again. Why? Because you didn't intentionally fill it back up with the positive energy. Because once you do that, so again, I do mine twice a year. Why do I only do it twice a year and I don't have to do it hardly in between? Is because I've filled it and packed my home, my space, full of positive energy. And I continue to maintain that positive energy by continuously going through my home and either having the music playing through the house, right? Going through and doing your dancing through the home. You don't have to do the actual act of reckoning every time, but you can do the action of building on the positive energy that you stuffed into those holes to keep it built up. And you'll notice that when you begin to do that, when you take that into consideration and start doing that and depending upon that, rather than focusing on getting the negative out, you focus on filling it with positive energy and keeping the positive vibe in. Then you're going to notice that you do not have to worry about cleansing as often as you had before, because your vibe, the space, just stays at a higher vibration. It just stays at a more positive aspect. Okay, so that is the podcast for this week. Again, I just kind of saw that and I go, you know what? I'm going to type this answer out. And then I thought, this is a great podcast episode because I like to explain things like this and the reason that I answer the way that I do. So hopefully that gives you some insight and some answers and some guidance. As I said, and I will always say, however you decide to work your practice is perfectly perfect for you, right? You always do you witchy poo. So if you feel like you like to light a, sage leaf or whatever before every shift, when you're going in, if that's part of your blessing, if that's part of your ritual, if that's part of your ceremony, then by all means, you continue to do that. I just like to give out information and reasons why I back that information in the way that I particularly work my personal magic practice and intuitive kind of areas of my life. So hopefully that helps. Okay. So again, wonderfully witchin'. What is that? Witchfulways.com is the place that you want to go to if you want to find more information regarding all of your witchcraft and intuitive skill development. Have a wonderfully magical rest of your day.